Welcome back, everybody, to A Reel and a Beer. This is our post-Mayan preview show. We are on week 3 of the Mayan show. So, just want to go over a few things for you guys that that maybe watched the show tonight, or even if you didn't watch it, this is going to be a little spoilers for you. But I know you guys enjoy it, and like I said before, you guys, we love your opinion, so please go on to this video, go on to our Facebook, give us a little feedback. If you have some ideas, some different things that you kind of maybe seen that we didn't get to cover, we want to know what you think and your different theories, where you think the show's going to go, what is kind of going on, and what you kind of see. So that's what we're looking for. So tonight, some things that we kind of noticed. The show really didn't cover a lot of ground, but the things that it did cover, there's a lot of symbolism in this one, and this is something we kind of talked about.
A lot of symbolism, yes. It was a very slow start, and it was like almost to the very last cut. That's when you're like, whoa,
yeah,
okay, that's kind of cool, but you're absolutely right. It was kind of slow, but yeah, right.
Yeah, it was, and that was something that we kind of talked about before, and so the big things that Danny noticed was the owl in the beginning of the show, and a lot of things that we've kind of noticed with the past 2 shows, there has been a lot of animals and symbolism of that. So we were talking about this before when the show was on, and you get to see the wild dog in the first one, Scorpion.
Well, the wild dog also eating the crow.
Yeah. It's almost like a rite of passage kind of thing, the way I kind of took it. The Scorpion, that it's kind of hard to tell with that. It kind of came in 2 different lights, at the beginning of the show, and then of course at the end. You see people getting murdered, people getting killed, or during the show. The Scorpion kind of always came at that moment. So
that's the way I took it. It was like almost a sign of death. It is like you're in the desert. The Scorpion, it stings you, whatever, you die. Not so much as a person, but it was also like the symbolism of it. When it was about to go down, there was a Scorpion. It was kind of walking away, and then things kind of started out. And
even like I said with the crow, Cut Sutter, he's really good about the symbolism. So you never really know how this is going to play out in the show, but it seems like it's kind of crazy how we keep seeing a different animal at the beginning of this. So really, what we're finding out at the beginning of the show is that they have a meeting with pretty much they're meeting the Chinese, which introduces the Chinese in from what the Sons of Anarchy had them. Now they're in with the Mayans and what we've kind of seen. So it kind of brings them into this show just like they were in the Sons, and how they kind of linked in here.
Yeah, I'm stoked that they brought in the Chinese, because they're actually intertwining with the original Sam Crow series, or the Sons of Anarchy. And, they're bringing in the Chinese and the different gangs and everything, and the affiliates from the different cartels, and now they're starting to wrap it in here. It's just not on a border. They're bringing in the cartel. Now they're bringing the Indians from the casinos. Yeah, that's new, and I think that they're going to end up playing a big part of it eventually.
How much do you think this? How much control do you think that the Chinese are really having? Because before the Chinese had a huge connection to the drugs in the Sons of Anarchy. Well, obviously at the ends of Sons, they lost a lot of that control. The Orlando cartel, of course, was always the big dogs. But you get to see the Chinese, they kind of lose a little bit as that transition from the end of Sons of Anarchy into now. So, how much do you think that they're kind of in the middle of all of this?
Well, right now, because it's looking like it's more towards the past and more than it was in Sons of Anarchy, and that was the present. With their present, this is more so past. But with the Chinese, I think they're probably part of the prime, well, not necessarily the prime, but a big part of it right now. I think they're going to hold a lot of power as of right now where they're at, in the borders. So seeing where they're gonna intertwine with is gonna be awesome. Especially since they're complete cahoots with the MCs and the cartel, because they couldn't kill one of their own. They're staying true to their culture and stuff. They're like, okay, so and so did something bad. So this spoiler alert, guy went against the family, but it's completely against they don't kill their own. Yeah. So they made the agreements, and they took him out. They got the
that was something. That was something that we that he just really touched on. you got a lot of dynamics in this show that kind of in different directions. You got some things with what the Chinese, of course, it brings them in, and also you got how this rebellion is going, and we'll get to that later. But the Chinese, like you mentioned, they have Jimmy, which is one of their guys, is doing little side deals.
Yeah.
So they find out about this, and what he's talking about is they don't kill their own. So what they do is they kind of work with the Glendo cartel and with the MC, and the whole time this is going on, you don't even have any idea that this is going to play out the way it does. And if you watch the show, you'll get to see the guy just gets. He's done.
I didn't see it coming because I thought. The way he carried himself and his presence through that part of the script, from him being, he was very well casted. He was a very good actor. He wasn't like the guy with the orange shirt that's going on the planet from Star Trek. He's going to die. I really thought that he was going to be a big character.
I think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors with these shows. They're really good about covering this. They don't give a lot away. You kind of just you get surprised by so many things with the Sons and especially with Mayans. They do a great job with that. You really never see a lot of things coming. With this, to kind of give you a little heads up, the MC don't even know this is going on. Half of the MC never sees coming.
Yeah.
Of course, you find out that Alvarez he's in on the end with a lot of this, and that's something that I think maybe we should cover with that.
Yeah.
That's a question that I want to ask you is, what do you think? Because Alvarez, it's like he doesn't know about this rebellion. So we think.
Yeah.
At this point, we don't know if Alvarez knows anything about this rebellion or what his play may be in it. But he knows things like this. So Alvarez is not an idiot. This is not his first time around the block. So how much do you think Alvarez knows about this rebellion that's going on?
I think they know all of it. Have you noticed there was like certain key points where there were certain key people grabbed, hugged, hold, and called him brother.
Mm-hmm.
There was like several different, but it was in not like me walking and going, "What's up, brother?" Mm-hmm. But it was they emphasized that, whether it be the subtitles down at the bottom or whatever. It was like those key moments. I think they know everything.
You don't think it's so much with the lingo of the club. You think it's more that this is.
Yes.
He knows a lot more than what he's talking about.
Exactly. Like at the beginning when I guess it was his father. I'm still working on the names and stuff because there's some new characters yet. And the other gentleman from the Mayans came and he hugged him. And he said, "Hey, brother," but it wasn't in the aspect of the lingo.
Mm-hmm.
It was not of that whatsoever. I didn't feel it because it was 3 times in the film. I'm not saying it's all symbolism, but it is, like you said, the smoke and mirrors, because they really did. I'd have to show you in the show again because they really emphasized those 3 parts, brother, and it was usually in foreign tongue or whatever. It was. I don't know. I think there's a lot more characters you least expect knows everything. Those are the ones who knows everything.
Yeah, they do. There's some big players, and Alvarez is one of the bigger players.
Yes.
Something else, that we get to kind of pick up on. There's some other things in this show that this episode's really like. You get to see, of course, a lot of flashbacks. You get to go to the flashbacks of Ezekiel. He actually kills a cop, and you actually get to see that part, and that's something that they've talked a lot about, which is why he was in prison. Mm-hmm. And then you get to kind of see how that played out, and how it was almost like a mistake, but then it still haunts him. They go to this casino where the Indians on in Las Vegas to have this meeting with the Chinese, and they're meeting prison guards that kind of own the prison populations, the drugs that go throughout the prisons. So during this time, you get to run across. He runs across a cop. The cop tries to give him a kind of bully him in some way, and it kind of brings back in the end, he kind of gets his revenge on the guy, but it kind of brings back the memories of him in prison.
Yeah, I like the flashback too, and I've noticed there's like certain, the triggers that are setting up his thoughts of the past, and when that trigger hits, like the police officer, I'm a cop, it takes him back to that moment in his past, and I like how the one-off. Actually, there's several one-offs. When I first saw the first episode, I thought they were going, okay, this is another Sons of Anarchy. I wanted it to be Mayans, but still be an MC, blah, blah. But yeah, when that trigger hits him and he goes back, and the flashback, the little one-off I was talking about is like on this episode 8 years earlier. Just kind of tells you where they are and the point in time in the plot of the show or the series. And it's just over in a corner. And I mean, you guys have actually seen, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Like when that was going to the ladder.
Yeah, the signs.
I really like that they threw that in there. That kept it completely different.
Yeah, it does. And that's something we didn't see a lot in Sons was that flashbacks. The flashbacks just really didn't happen. So, but you also can't start from the beginning like we did with Sons, like this whole, because the story's obviously established. So now we kind of got to have our backstories because I believe it allows them to be able to have characters from Sons, which we all love to see.
Yes.
This show, if you're looking for somebody that's from the previous show, you're not going to get it. So
there was that little flash,
with
the Perlman and them, but
no characters from Sons on this one. So but anyway, I think that's going to be something we probably see less of. I think the first few shows you want to lose your audience on the first few shows.
Yeah, it's got to demarry itself away from what it was, and it's got to make its own stand in where it's at. Mm-hmm. It starts out from episode 1 down to episode 3, just kind of the way it was for me in the original Sam Crow show. It was the first couple episodes, I liked where it was going. I liked the direction. There was not really any smoke and mirrors other than this has got tons of smoke and mirrors right now. I'm either that or conspiracy theory on the show. But yeah, it was, it took me a couple of episodes to really start to feel it. And I feel like especially with the end, that actually, I see where, I like the way this is going.
Yeah, and that's something that we're about to play into, this last part. Is obviously Emily is distraught that her son's gone, and there's this play with she's having to try to figure out how hard her husband, how much he's lying to her, betraying her. On the other side, he's still trying to balance family and he's trying to tell her the truth, but he's still the crime boss. He's still the head of the Glendale cartel. Yeah. So he's having to fight dirty, and so that's something we're getting a piece of. Emily is she's trying to get to the bottom of these things, and you can see the compassion in what she sees that obviously Mexico's going through. Right. So it's something I wanted to write down this quote, but it was something that kind of hit home because in the previous episode in the second show, you get to find out that Glendo has a sibling that was kidnapped and didn't turn out so well. Yeah. So obviously this is going to play in. This was something that and that's what we were speculating with the child. That we see a skull in the very beginning. They have a piñata. They come to the location. You think that they're about to bust in on the camp. Yeah. They obviously don't get to the camp. It's kind of a setup thing. So they get there, bust up the piñata, and they find a skull with a name. Yeah,
the Day of the Dead top skull, the flowers around the eyes. I mean, I think there's a lot more meaning to that because when everybody was like holding on to it, like, okay, this isn't something to get, ticked off about and smashed up against a rock, we've been foiled, but, there's a lot more to it than that.
Mm-hmm. And Emily, that's a big thing with Emily, there's a lot with this, there's that whole backstory of what has happened before. Right. And how this kind of plays in here is she's upset, because obviously her son's gone. She watches a video, and you kind of get to see where, she's upset about it. But then the mother, Glenda's mother, she's having to play this thing of now she's trying to be supportive in this situation, but she's having to be loyal to the cartel and what she's known in the past. But then as a mother, she's feeling a lot
of pain. Yeah, she's playing the devil's advocate almost. She's like, this is, this is happening, but she has that sympathy, but yeah, she's having to be the devil's advocate.
Yeah, and that's one thing, she's like, well, you got to really stand, pretty much like saying you need to stand with your husband and his decisions. And one thing that really kind of hit home, and you can kind of see in this show, Emily just says, what would you do if it was your son? And of course, Emily does not know that it was her son that was kidnapped before, and you can see the pain in her eyes. So, I think we're going to get to see a lot more of this. I think in the show you're going to get to see a lot more of her mom go from trying to be so loyal to the cartel to actually becoming more of the mother and the pain that she's went through. Yeah. And you never really know how this could play out. What her role could be in this in the future, if it kind of breaks her down to make a decision to change, what had happened in the past and maybe change the future, the present day. So maybe we get to see a lot more of that. Like you said, another thing was the cut hand. You would get to see where the bodies in the town square. There is there's a kid sitting there, and you feel bad because you think that she's saying that the little girl that had kidnapped the child in the second episode. You see her console the little boy at the town square. They go out to the town square. The little girl sees the little boy sitting there and goes to speak with him, and she goes to the leader of the rebellion. And
the bunny.
Yeah.
I like calling the bunny.
Yeah.
Bunny said jump. Yeah.
Adelita. So that's her name, and she just she's telling her we've got to take him in because this was his family, and so we get to see a lot more of that dynamic. She's like, okay, well she's wanting to save Mexico, so how can you save Mexico if you're not willing to take in this little boy of a tortured family? So as they take him in, at the very end of the show, we get to see that while this little boy's sitting here. And we're not going to spoil what this means. I know we spoiled a lot of things on the show, but you definitely need to check us out.
So they're eating dinner, and I'm not going to. Yeah, I couldn't do it.
There's a cut on the hand, and it means pretty much you're
Y'all
pretty much loyal to
yeah.
the cartel. So that's something you need to see, this dynamic.
But do you think that was just was that a real initiation, or do you think because the guy that was part of the cartel, one of the gentleman with the braids or whatever, he said that was absolutely beautiful. Was that something he just made up just to freak that boy out? And he's like, you're in it for life, and he puts his blood on there. Do you think that was a real initiation into the cartel, or do you think that was just something to get the jackals running after the deer or whatever it is, not using their men to figure out.
Yeah, it's not so much maybe you're saying it's not maybe so much a spy, but maybe it could be just a play
a pawn of some
pawn.
sort. Yeah.
So that's something that we would like to hear. Is that going to be a pawn? And at the end of the show, you get to see the slice on the hand, and so I want your feedback. We want to know what you think this play is. We also want to know what you maybe seen that we didn't. At this time, like I said, please give us your feedback. If we don't know
Absolutely.
what you think, kind of get us a debate. Next week we'll debate a lot of these things that maybe you guys can throw out there. We love talking about it. So, guys, I really do appreciate you checking in with us. Thanks for subscribing. Please subscribe. Click the subscribe button on YouTube and click the bell so you can get the notifications when we upload something new. Thanks for checking in with Real and a Beer. You guys have a good one.
Thank you.